Yeah, yeah. Hey, welcome to our first episode of Scots and Socks. I'm Scott, he's Scott, and like Scott Carson and Scott McLaughlin, and we're here to talk about empathy today. So one of the things we thought we'd do is you know, I guess one of the things we thought about empathy and the description of it and the accuracy of it is Brene Brown's excellent explanation of it. A few, God, it'd be like 8 years ago now, I reckon. But let's play that. Let's play that now. And hopefully it'll work.
It's going to work perfect, Scotty. It's not as though we're live, so it'll be fine.
It's not working. It's not working perfect at all. To be honest with you, it's not working at all. Share screen. That'll do it.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Scots and Socks while we're waiting for Scotty to sort this out. And I'm actually seriously grateful that we're actually having a yarn about this because it's... I'll be quiet now.
So what is empathy and why is it very different than sympathy? Empathy fuels connection. Sympathy drives disconnection. Empathy, it's very interesting. Teresa Wiseman is a nursing scholar who studied professions, very diverse professions where empathy is relevant, and came up with 4 qualities of empathy. Perspective taking, the ability to take the perspective of another person or recognize their perspective as their truth. Staying out of judgment, not easy when you enjoy it as much as most of us do. Recognizing emotion in other people and then communicating that. Empathy is feeling with people. And to me, I always think of empathy as this kind of sacred space when someone's kind of in a deep hole and they shout out from the bottom and they say, I'm stuck, it's dark, I'm overwhelmed. And then we look and we say, hey, climb down. I know what it's like down here, and you're not alone. Sympathy is, ooh, it's bad, no, you want a sandwich? Empathy is a choice, and it's a vulnerable choice, because in order to connect with you, I have to connect with something in myself that knows that feeling. Rarely, if ever, does an empathic response begin with at least. Yeah. And we do it all the time because you know what? Someone just shared something with us that's incredibly painful and we're trying to silver lining it. I don't think that's a verb, but I'm using it as one. We're trying to put the silver lining around it. So I had a miscarriage. Oh, at least you know you can get pregnant. I think my marriage is falling apart. At least you have a marriage. John's getting kicked out of school. At least Sarah is an A student. But one of the things we do sometimes in the face of very difficult conversations is we try to make things better. If I share something with you that's very difficult, I'd rather you say, I don't even know what to say right now. I'm just so glad you told me. Because the truth is, rarely can a response make something better. What makes something better is connection.
I love that video. It's to me, what does that mean to you, Scotty? I mean, to me, it's about action, right?
Dive into that a little bit further, Scotty. What is the actions that you saw that made that empathetic?
I mean, I think when I think about action, that the person that comes down to that person and tries to connect with them, and it's the connection, I think, that makes a difference, and that's why I say action, right? Because, wow, I mean, so often we look at people who are in shit situations and you know, concur that we're doing the right thing by, you know, trying to reach out to them and say, hey, sorry, you're doing, you're doing it hard right now, right? But to me, it's action, right? That's the difference. What do you think?
I want to understand why you think action is actually more important.
So, to me, the relevance of action is that you're actually doing something. You're not talking to it. You're not commentating on it. You're actually reaching in and going into that person's situation.
Yeah, I like that, because that's something that I feel is probably the biggest key to empathy, is actually taking the action to just be present.
Yes.
Presence is an action, like it's, and just going through the video, like even listening to it again for the umpteenth time, I felt the importance of recognizing someone else's perspective and honoring that. And it can simply be by just saying, thank you for sharing that.
Mhm.
Is there anything else you'd like to share? Just sitting in that, not projecting anything out of you, because in reality, you don't exactly know what they're going through until they actually open that up, and that's if they're willing to. But one of the things for me that is, I personally think it's the greatest gift we can receive is somebody's honest truth. Somebody's sharing their dark days, and it's quite funny, like I was the comment that I really love in that is grateful for somebody sharing their perspective, because as humans we have different experiences, so we all have different ways of seeing life, and so often we're looking at life through our own lens and we miss some things in life. So when someone's sharing their honest truth, it's a gift, and we have to understand it's their story, not ours. So we have to honor that story and then ask questions around that to help them open it up so they can see it through a different set of eyes.
Yeah, and if we want to close the gap, like, honestly, I hear it all the time. People don't seek social services because they're ashamed or because they feel, ashamed or whatever. Honestly, it's up to those social services to step it up, to be engageable, to be, for those people to be comfortable in, engaging their services. So, I mean, action for me in empathy is about stepping the hell up and, trying to meet people where they are. And you spoke about this, Scotty, about 4 weeks ago at Frankston Community Kitchen. You spoke about a kid that you got a job for, and I thought that was a classic example, right? Where he wasn't ready.
Yeah, and I think that's, that entire story is an empathetic story, but it took the action of actually going out into the streets and creating the situation where he was comfortable to be there. He was comfortable enough to have that conversation. And I'm being conscious of where things are at, because like Are You Okay Day, right? I'll just grab that. Great start. Absolutely brilliant start. And we've started asking, are you okay? But the empathy comes in when we are prepared to listen to the answers. That's the big
like
one.
that, man.
When are we going
right.
to be able to sit present in empathy to be able to listen to those answers and actually take on what somebody else is giving us? And I think that's something for me that right now it has become increasingly difficult since COVID, because the games have changed, right? So we're not as social as we once were. We're not as outgoing as we once were. We didn't seek things because they come to us, which is where we're at right now. So it's fantastic that there's so many places out there doing good, right? But now I think we need to change the game just that little bit more. We've got to start getting out and about and being seen a little bit more, rather than just waiting back and sending out emails and and text messages and bombarding people, because I feel that's pushing us even further down. I mean, I got to be careful not to head down a rabbit warren with that.
Yeah. But no, you're right, man. I mean, I think in the end, I hear it from social services all the time that people don't engage, and it's almost like it's their fault, right? But it's not their fault. It's about people understanding other people to the point that they can be helpful, right?
Yeah, very much so. Like, it's not until you actually get someone's full circumstances and an understanding, can you actually even try to gift them some knowledge or an alternate situation. I am going to grab that comment, Scotty, because we're live, and one of the reasons why we are live is to have comments and bring them up and actually have a discussion around them. So can you grab that comment and throw it up, please? Thank you, Alan, for putting that
up.
Comment.
Yeah, okay. Alan Forbes.
Can click on it, add it to the chat. Yep. Beautiful. Couldn't agree more. Social services generally create far more barriers to service than they do in providing services. These services feel so transactional. And for a cross-section of people that need empathy because they are experiencing terrible things in their lives, how can we truly say we are caring for our vulnerable when we put things in their ways to getting help they need, right? So let's put that to the side, Scotty. I want to answer that because I think that's something that I'm noticing more and more and more. Where are our safe places to actually talk about the things we need to talk about? Where are our safe places without judgment? One of the things that Martin Jones and I had a fantastic experience with was supporting the Victorian Brotherhood many years ago, where we just sat and we listened and we asked questions without any advice, but it gave people the opportunity to be heard. And I think that's a great place. But where are those places? What are they? So I really can't thank you enough for that, Alan. I think that's awesome. But I also feel that we need to advertise those safe places in a way that gets us out into the community. Scotty, you've been down to the Frankston, the Bayside Community Kitchen, where, and this is fantastic. And this is one of the things I really would love to see in the future.
And it's bloody hard to do too, but it's amazing.
Well, what's happening down there is there's the Bayside Community Kitchen, which is putting on food. Then there's NDIS service provider, which OTS. I sit down there and have conversations, and we're working together. Food for those that are vulnerable, and we're not just talking about those sleeping rough. We're talking about those numbing themselves, those really struggling at the minute. No questions asked. There's clothing. There's all of these things sitting in the one place. If they need somewhere to rest, just fall asleep at a table. I mean, how many times have you seen that, Scotty, where someone's come in, they've had a free coffee and a toasty, and they've fallen asleep at the table because they're just exhausted?
Yep, true.
Now we've got a place where we're getting the rest. We're building the trust. And that's talking about empathy, I think we're going to take it even back further to the fact that trust, right? We're going to rebuild the trust in order to have these conversations.
So true, man.
How do we do that? How do we do that? Like, I know, for those that know a little bit about what I do, when I'm out and about, and I've always got the socks, which you'll see up top. There we go.
I think we should explain the socks in first episode. We should absolutely explain the socks.
Yeah, beautiful. All right. Well, so a little bit of backstory on the socks and how they come about, right? Because I actually, I'll give you the really short version. I had an incident where my wife had an accident in Melbourne when we were riding through the city, and she came off her bike and fell on her head, hit her head, blood pouring out of her head and her mouth, and I actually thought she was dead. Thank God my son was on the back of my bike, because here I am with her and my 2-year-old son, one in each arm, just not knowing what to do, and everybody kept riding and running past. No one stopped. Here I am with the two most precious things in my life in my arms, and no one stopped. You know, like, I'm not going to dive into it. Normally, I'm happy to share a tear and stuff, but I want to try and keep this to here.
Yeah.
But what happened from that was, what is the one thing that I could do to make a difference? What's the one thing that I could do to bring us together? Now, since that day, you know, a smile's become so important. A smile, just you know, connection before we create the disconnection, right? People probably were sympathetic to us because they saw it and kept going. Oh, that's not. I'm going to keep going from that one. But the empathy. But here's something. Here's a kicker. Over the recent years, I've been processing my life and getting stronger and stronger and stronger in my own personal development. What I've come to recognize is that my go-to emotion, frustration and anger, kept people away from me. So I'm wondering what my projection was in that emotional moment that wouldn't allow people to come towards me. You know?
Yeah.
So that's been a challenge. From that though, you know, a pair of socks, so they're just up top, I don't really need to grab them. They came about. Black dots, they represent our dark days. We all have them. No one's getting out of that. But there is more sunshine than there is dark days. Sometimes we just need a reminder. And one of the beautiful things about these socks in particular is the fact that what do you say to somebody who is having a dark day, that you know is having a dark day, that you don't know what to say, but you know you really should step into that conversation? How do you do it? How do you do it? I'm lucky because I've always got a backpack full of socks that I can walk up and just say, thank you for doing your best right now. Is it okay if I gift you something from my heart to yours? And then when you read the message on them, you know, the black dots represent our dark days. We all have them. What you're saying to that person is, I see you. I don't have the answers. You've gone into your feelings of the fact that you've had dark days, you know, but just want you to know there is more sunshine and I'm here for you. Yeah.
Oh man. I mean, I guess, you know, from my perspective, that's been the most inspirational part of meeting you. Is that, you know, I've tried to, you know, navigate this stuff, vulnerability at a macro level, and I deal with charities and government and blah 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 blah. But in the end, what I see you doing is acknowledging people, right? And that, in its simplest form, is the most powerful thing I've seen. Right? It's the most powerful thing I've seen. And I've done the sock thing with you on the street, and you know, it's difficult, you know, for me at least, to walk up to a stranger and go, hey, I want to thank you for doing your best right now. But to see the reaction of these people, to see the smiles it puts on their face, to see, I just think, what am I doing? Right? Because I'm trying to fix this thing at a macro level. But you're actually doing the thing, right? You're actually doing the thing that means something to people, right? And wow, man, and that's why I'm so connected to you, and that's why I love you as a friend. Like, and it's, yeah, you've taught me so much.
Well, look, I appreciate it, Scotty, but we're on a journey, right? And one of the things for me that is the most important part of this. When we walk the streets, you would think that we'd be talking to those on the streets or doing it tough. The people that I've met that really need the biggest one are business owners right now.
Yeah.
The last few years have been so difficult with so many rule changes. It's like this, that. You're trying to, staffing's an issue, stock's an issue, all these new pressures coming at us, and then we've got to do everything else. Thank you for doing your best right now. Like, I think us humans are extraordinary, right? I'm going to go off on a tangent, and you'll find I'll do that every now and then. But if you look,
I'll go to sleep now. Yeah.
No, but if you look at what's happened in the last few years, and you see how people have been able to work around things, find new ways to support each other. It's been extraordinary.
Yeah, sure.
A problem's not the problem. It's how we respond to the problem that either causes the pain, the lesson, or the opportunity.
Oh, man,
We actually get to choose. We actually get to choose that. But first, we've got to recognize the pain. First, we've got to understand that, right? We've got to go into the empathy. Yeah, okay, that really hurt. Okay, so what is it that hurt? What is it that really, what is it? Let's understand that. And then you take
Mhm.
that and you find the lessons. Okay, so if I did that and that was the outcome, what could I create if I did this? The
Yeah.
opportunities come when we implement those lessons,
Yeah.
and we grow from them. And I think it all starts with empathy. Like at the moment, I'm on a mission to help businesses in particular reconnect to our community. Yeah, let's reconnect to people. Let's thank people for doing their best. Let's find the empathy. Let's go to one another because we've all been struggling one way or another.
Yeah, people
Yeah.
need to be heard. I just ran into a guy last week, Billy in Mentone, sitting outside of Coles. He's a NDIS recipient apparently, but has had in and out housing for 2.5 years.
Hmm.
And just sitting and listening to him, just the fact that I listened to him was important to him, and just acknowledging him as a human and realizing that he's in that space for, perhaps his own reasons, perhaps his own causes, whatever. But there was no judgment. There was no judgment. I just met him and sat with him and spoke to him for half an hour. And yeah, I don't know. I think that's really important.
Why was there no
How many
judgment?
times do we walk? How many times do we walk past people who are homeless, right? And assume that's their fault.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
go.
no, well,
We're at 21 minutes and 55 seconds, so I reckon you could go for the whole. Yeah, from
all
here.
right. So this triggers me because I went to the
I know it does.
I went to the home show in Melbourne on Friday night to catch up with a couple of people, and as I said, I've always got my backpack with me. Anyway, crossed over from Flinders Street, it's the other side of the Yarra, on the South Bank, and there's a guy sitting there with his dog, me being me. G'day, mate, how are you? Just want to thank you for doing your best right now. Is it okay if I sit and have a yarn? Yeah, no worries. So listen, I've got something for you from my heart, if that's okay. Gifted him a pair of socks. His name's Sharky, and what a cracking story he's got. Like he's from Newcastle and he's come down. He's clean. It's been clean for, over a year, but just doesn't know how to take that next step. Doesn't know the services, doesn't know how to, how things go.
Yep.
And I said to him, listen, Sharky, is it okay? I would just like to understand your story, because I know everybody has circumstances that happens in their life that happen to create the situations that they're in.
Yep.
He's going, yeah. Guys, actually, when I was 6 years old, my dad gave me a flogging, and I didn't know where to go, so I just packed up and left. Since then, I've been dodging and weaving ever since.
Yeah. Wow.
I said, wow. I said, have you ever had somewhere where you felt safe? Yes, never.
Mm. Mm.
Never felt safe.
Yeah, wow, man.
Right,
Wow.
and I grabbed that in particular simply due to the fact that right now, so many people are under pressure for so many different reasons, and it continually comes. COVID gave us a little bit of an opportunity to slow down and stop and actually breathe. Some people went into it and went, you know what? I feel something here. I need to do something better. A lot of men spent time with their kids that they've never spent before.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're out of it. Now we don't know how to go back and spend more time with their kids. Like there's a lot of stuff going on because we haven't got a safe place to have the big conversations we need to have to be able to work through the things. Like I'm on a mission to give men an opportunity to have a safe place.
Yep.
Absolutely. That, buddy. Well, I'm putting that together, but it's Here's the thing.
I mean, Sharky, if you really think about Sharky's life, right? And you go, that poor bastard hasn't had one platform to rest on where he felt okay.
Yeah, so and I appreciate that, but I won't take the opportunity around feeling sorry for him because I don't.
Okay.
You know, legitimately.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
Like he's at where he's at, right? That's what life's
Yeah.
gifted him. His opportunity is to respond to that, you know.
Yep.
And for
Yep.
me to see him and meet him where he's at, I'm empathetic, right? I'm not sympathetic. I'm not sympathetic to how he lives. That's his, right? And that comes across pretty harsh, right?
That's exactly why I said that, by the way.
Yeah, good. But it's like it's not harsh. It's just meeting somebody where they're at and
Yep.
getting a better understanding, and that's the key to everything. Empathy is choosing the action of presence and taking the opportunity to get a better understanding of where things are at.
So true, man.
The thing I love about Sharky was the fact that, and I, to be honest, I can't stand the word vulnerable. I honestly, I think that's
fair enough.
That's a word that our women use really well. They can understand that, but I'd really like to ask our men to be brave and courageous and have the conversations they need to have so that their heads stop rattling, so then they can be present in the moment to, you know, to actually listen to other people. That for me is where it's at.
Yeah, I like that, man.
Giving your authentic truth, giving that to somebody, especially yourself, gives you the opportunity to work through it. So maybe next week, Scotty, I want to start with authentic truth, because authentic truth is something for me that can only come from within yourself, you know, and the judgment will come around that because you're trying to work out what it is that you see. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think what's really important about what you just said is the refuting of vulnerability is actually a refuting of sympathy. You can't meet people where they are if you and you've taught me this. I've never stopped and spoken to a homeless person until I met you, right? And since I've met you, I've done that plenty of times. And gee whiz, man, just connecting with those people as people, right? And not seeing them as lesser than me, but seeing them as an equal to me and connecting with them. It's game changing, right? Game changing. And for all of you who walk past homeless people every freaking day, yeah, and ignore them or try to avoid them or whatever, they're people. They are people.
Yeah, so I've got a different view on this again, and I'm sorry we go over time a little bit.
No, we can argue.
That's
fine.
But I do. Like
I thought we probably should have rehearsed this, but anyway.
No, but I don't. That's me, Scotty. You know, life doesn't have a dress rehearsal. Let's just put it on the table as it is from our hearts and call it what it is, right? So, you know, just because somebody's going to work and, you know, like there's somebody begging and they're homeless, doesn't mean you have to give them your time. It doesn't mean, you know, your most valuable asset is your time. Mm-hmm. But the one thing I ask, if possible, is to just say hello as you walk past and give them a smile. Hi.
Sure.
Hi. Have a fantastic day today. You know what? I hope you're smiling. Just a little acknowledgement that they're there, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Giving them the opportunity to feel that they are a part of society, not pushed away, because there's reasons why they are there. There's reasons why people haven't got the courage and bravery just to take that next step to get the services, to get the support. You know, they've been beaten down, you know, and this is something that, like, you've heard me talk about, you know, when Oscar asked me, are homeless people important?
Oh, we're going to do that on a different episode, but yes.
Yeah, I know. but I didn't have an answer.
Yeah.
Right. That's something I'm going to talk about. So, all right, well, I think it's
Well,
good
guys,
start.
thanks for joining in today, and for all you guys listening. I hope Scotty and I are shedding some light on empathy. Really, that's our goal. That's what we want to do, and yeah, I really appreciate you guys tuning in. So, he's eternally happy. It almost shoots me.
But how did I get that, Scotty? How did I get that? Because if you know,
I know how you got that.
If you know my life story, there's no reason why I should be smiling. There's no
I
reason
know.
why I should be happy, but I do consistently. Why?
Yeah.
And we'll open that up in another episode. But
We'll do that.
I really want to thank everyone for taking the time out of their day to listen to this, because at the end of the day, the thing I love most about this is I'm prepared to be wrong. I'm prepared to get this whole series completely wrong. I'm happy for you to rip it apart. If you don't like it and there's something going on, tell me about it. Help me grow. Give me the opportunity to be a better version of me.
But what are we trying to do here? We're trying to make a difference, right? We're having a crack. And we are. I mean, that's what we're trying to do, right?
That's all you can do, Scotty.
So we can get it wrong, we can get it right. It doesn't matter. Like, we're trying, right?
Yeah, but that's what we need to do. Step into it, right? Step into the courage of having a crack. The courage, the bravery to step in and have a crack. So yeah, cool.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for listening. We're at what, 31 minutes and 40 seconds.
A bit more.
All right. Yeah. Okay.
Take care.
Thanks again. Cheers, guys.
Ciao.
Bye.
Cheers. Where's that button, Scotty?